Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Inside the Aisle. I'm your host, Nikki Wolf, and today we have a returning guest, one of our favorites, back to the show, Shelby Smith. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi, Nikki. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's been a little while since we've had you on the show, and give us some updates. How were your holidays? What's new?
Oh, well, life's good. Life's good. I'm busy here with work. We have lots of new products coming out, so I think that means I'll be on the show a little bit more frequently to talk about some of those new products. But yeah, lots of good things happening over here. What about you? How have you been?
Just currently in my third trimester of mama life, so that's been interesting, and just constantly like waiting for the kicks or feeling the kicks, and so it's been such a wild ride. And a few people have asked, how's it been? And honestly, it's been the biggest blessing, and just oddly the smoothest thing ever. I feel like it's reversed all of my problems, all of my hormones feel regulated. And I know our CEO, Darren, he's like an expert with women's health. And he mentioned that the elevated levels of progesterone have a lot to do with like balancing out a lot of our issues. So if you're listening and if you have a lot of health issues, all you got to do is get pregnant and boom. No, I'm kidding.
Yes, it's one size fits all, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like everything. So awesome. Well, we have a really fun episode in store, and this was kind of inspired with one of our conversations with Shelby and just some of the products she's really passionate about, particularly in regards to like youthful skin, glowing skin. So if you are a listener and love, skincare, you love searching and trying to find whether that's the most natural or just you're constantly on Sephora or something looking for good new products, this is going to be the episode for you. And whether, skincare is something that you've researched quite a bit, or, there's a little bit that you'd like to improve on, whether that's like dullness, dryness, redness, or even like brittle hair and nails. Again, this is the episode for you. So Shelby, I would love to hear, and we're kind of calling this, we haven't figured out a name, but like the Glow Bundle. And so something that really helps you glow and just makes you look radiant. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so I have 3 products I really want to talk about today, but before I get into those, I do have to say that when it comes to skincare, the joke that we just made, right, it is not one size fits all. Everybody is pre-exposed to different hormones and genetic factors. Different lifestyle factors can all really play into our skin and the way that it looks. And that also extends beyond just acne. So sometimes when we talk about skin, people think of only acne, but there's a lot more to it. There's dryness, there's oiliness, there is color or discoloration, there's texture, there's all sorts of things that we are talking about when we talk about skin health. So I just wanted to kind of preface with that. But with that being said, Life Seasons create some amazing formulas that really help with all areas of skin health. So I kind of wanted to talk about a few of them today. I call these 3 kind of my triple threat, if you will. Ooh, I like you said, we need to come up with a better name, the Glow Bundle, all sorts of things.
And if you're listening,
yes, if anyone has any ideas,
send them our way.
Yes, but let's talk about the first one that's probably the most obvious. People are probably thinking of this one. If you're guessing in your head what we're going to talk about today, that's going to be Beauty. So Beauty is our hair, skin, and nail formula, and this is unlike any other hair, skin, and nail formula on the market. If you're looking at a label or anything, you'll see that this is a packed ingredient list. There is tons of ingredients in here. Some that I think really stand out are going to be the biotin, the collagen, the zinc, there's MSM, there's turmeric, there's all sorts of stuff in here. We can kind of break down what's in here, but I love this formula.
Oh my gosh, it is so packed. So I just switched slides. So again, if you have access to seeing the screen, this is just, like Shelby said, it is packed with so much stuff. And what I love about this, and we'll dive into it a little bit too, is it doesn't just put the main ingredients at high doses. We also sprinkle in other ingredients. You would have been like, wait, what in the world? Why is that there? And we'll get to that. And it just, again, it showcases that products aren't just a one size fits all. We have to look at the body and approach well-being from a holistic manner, looking at the entirety of the body, because maybe, you're satisfied with this and this gap is filled and all this. We really have to do a deep dive and look at the root cause of what's going on. And that's what Life Seasons does so beautifully, is that we formulate looking at the root cause and really making sure that we're filling all the gaps. So yeah, let's dive into some of the ingredients and what really stands out for you.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So I think that the first ingredient I want to address is biotin. So biotin is in here in, 6,000 micrograms, which is a good amount of biotin. That's a pretty big serving size. And biotin can sometimes be controversial. Some people don't like taking biotin on its own because they find that it causes breakouts. So it's actually really interesting. Biotin is generally eliminated through what's going to be the easiest pathway. So once you consume it, your body needs to get rid of it. Generally, if you take it on its own, it's going to be eliminated through, like I said, the easiest pathway, which is the skin. So in this formula, we've included other ingredients like milk thistle and red clover that help to push the biotin out of the liver instead. So you don't have breakouts. Instead, you just get the benefits of biotin, which are healthy nails, healthy hair, and healthy skin.
I love that you mentioned, and kind of going back into the potency, when you look at formulations on the shelf, and when I mean formulations, there's isolated ingredients. So if you go to a vitamin shop and you just see, biotin on its own, that's generally isolated. So it's by itself. And then formulas is a collection of ingredients. When you look at other hair, skin, and nail formulas, the amount of biotin you see in there is between 800 micrograms and about 1,200. We are using 6,000 micrograms, so a hefty dose. Again, coming back to the underlying premise of Life Seasons using those therapeutic high potencies in there. And, again, to press in, we are using those supported ingredients, looking at the body as a whole and creating synergistic formulas. So that milk thistle and, some of these other ingredients are going to work with that biotin to help bring your body back to equilibrium and help you thrive. Whereas if you just do the biotin on its own, it might not necessarily have that effect.
Absolutely. And just to add on to the synergy that you're talking about, we also have found through research that biotin works better when it's paired with some sort of protein like collagen. So in this formula, you're also going to find collagen. Those are a dynamic duo. They work so well together. They help you get faster and more noticeable results when they're paired together. And collagen's really cool. If you don't know how important collagen is to our body, not just cosmetically. Of course, it's really important to the way that our skin and our hair looks, but it's really important for joint health as well. If you have any sort of joint pain, chances are collagen would be beneficial for building that cushion in your joints. So collagen is really, really great. But bringing it back to the topic at hand, collagen is so beneficial for preventing wrinkles and boosting skin elasticity. So it works better when it's paired with biotin, and they are just a dynamic duo. They work so well together.
Well, and what's interesting about that is as we age, we tend to take on a little bit more wrinkles. And as we age, our body produces less and less collagen. So taking in a supplementation of collagen in a really good quality is going to be helpful.
Yes, absolutely. So anyone really, I really recommend Beauty to everybody. I recommend it to my dad. I recommend it to my mom. I recommend it to all my friends. This is a formula that I think I recommend to the most people in my life, because not only is it helping with hair, skin, and nails, but it's helping with joint health, and it's helping to just help people feel better from the inside out. And I love this formula. But let's dive into more of the ingredients, because there's more ingredients that really prove why I love it so much. One of those ingredients is going to be zinc. So I love zinc. Everybody needs zinc. It's an essential mineral. And it is so beneficial for our immune system, and it's beneficial for the largest organ of our body, which is skin. So we need zinc in order to heal. If we get a cut or a scrape, zinc is one of the minerals that helps our body heal. So that's important to know. If we have acne scarring, if we get a scratch on our face or anywhere in our body, zinc is going to be really beneficial for that healing process.
That's fascinating, and I wonder if that's why they put zinc in some of those topical, like acne. Well, yeah,
that's exactly why,
to help with that scarring. So that's really cool to hear. And again, so many of us are either deficient in zinc or need that extra supplementation. So the fact that it's going to help support in this additional way is such a benefit.
And I love that you just brought up something that I wanted to touch on at some point in this conversation, and that is topical ointments and things that you might apply directly to your skin versus what we're talking about in the sense of something that you're going to consume. So there are some ingredients like zinc, for example, or vitamin C, another thing we might talk about later, that you can apply directly to your face, but you can also consume. And there are some ingredients that are going to be generally better to apply topically, and some that are going to be generally better to consume, and some that work either way. So if you look at your moisturizer or some sort of skincare regimen that you have, you'll probably find zinc somewhere in one of those regimens.
That makes sense. I like that. One ingredient that really stands out to me is one of my favorites to talk about, because particularly and I just did a radio show on it, on men's health. I love talking about men's health. I don't know why, but it's something. And so if you're able to look at the ingredients in here, there might be an ingredient, there's probably a handful that stand out and you're like, why in the world is that in there? Saw palmetto. Saw palmetto you generally see in the men's section, generally in prostate health. And to try to take science and really simplify it, men have testosterone, women do too. Men just have significantly more. And what happens is there's this enzyme that converts some of that testosterone into something called DHT, dihydrotestosterone. DHT isn't bad. It's like caffeine. It's not bad, but too much of it can be bad. And too much DHT can create balding in men, hair loss, all these different components and prostate issues. But maybe it's not a biotin or collagen deficiency as to why you're going bald. Maybe it's this elevated levels of DHT that's creating that. And so that's why, again, we're looking big picture at the individual. Well, have we addressed, does this gentleman have a higher level of DHT in the body? Let's put saw palmetto in there to support that. And so, again, that's also why you see men generally go balding significantly more than women, because men have higher levels of testosterone. Thus, they're going to have higher levels of DHT. And so the saw palmetto in there is one of my favorite standout ingredients, because it's just showcasing how holistic we formulate our products.
Yes, absolutely. I love that you called out that ingredient, because it is really smart. And it's one of those ingredients, one of the many in this formula that you don't see across the board. It is not standard to see in other hair, skin, and nail formulations. And it is so smart, and I'm so glad it's in there. Another one that I think you do see fairly often, but I just think is really important to mention, is selenium. I love that selenium's in this formula. What selenium does is it helps your body make use of iodine, which is really important for thyroid function as well as hair growth. So approaching it from that holistic approach, if you're having any issues with your thyroid, hair loss might be something that you experience. So including that selenium is really smart, because it can help with hair growth and help to balance out the function of the thyroid. So it's cool.
And I think one of the really, quick indicators of thyroid issues, obviously besides sluggish and weight gain, is a lot of times individuals are losing their hair in their eyebrows. So you might notice a knot go all the way down, or your eyebrow doesn't. If it's a little bit shorter, that's kind of a key sign that the thyroid might not be functioning at its, proper capacity.
Yes, absolutely. And I know we're focusing a lot on skin today, but this formula has so many benefits for the hair, and my hair has grown so much from taking beauty over the last year. I honestly can't believe it. When I see people that I haven't seen in a year, everyone is commenting on how long my hair has gotten. And I credit it 1000% to beauty. I haven't changed anything else in my hair care routine. It has only been adding this in. But I will say, if you start taking this formula, be prepared for hair growth, not just on top of your head. My eyebrows have gotten thicker. My eyelashes have grown. My arm hair has gotten a little bit longer. So it really does help with hair growth as well as skin.
You might just have a little bit more maintenance.
Yes, a little bit.
To care for. But I think the pros outweigh the cons.
I 100% agree.
Awesome. Any lasting input on beauty before we jump on over to the next one?
Honestly, I could talk about beauty for hours and hours. So if anyone has questions about this formula, please comment them or let us know. I would love to talk about this formula more, but let's move on to the next one so that we have time to talk about all of these formulas.
All right. I think you can... For some reason, it's not letting me do it. You want to...
I can announce it then. I have it right here. So the other one I wanted to talk about is our ageless skincare formula. This used to be called Healthy Aging, so if you've been a fan of Life Seasons for a while, you may recognize the Healthy Aging name. But the formula did not change. It is this same awesome antioxidant formula. I love this formula, and I waited a long time before I started taking this one. I'd heard good things about it, but I just hadn't taken it for a while. This is one of those formulas that when I started taking it, truthfully, I didn't really know that I noticed much of a difference. So I stopped taking it. I decided to give it a break, took it out of my routine, and I immediately noticed that my skin lost some of its glow. And that is why I want to talk about this formula, because it really does give such a glowiness to my skin that I've never seen before. No topical product has ever done it in the way that this one has. So let's talk about it. I love this formula. Have you taken this one, Nikki?
I have. So, and I just say this, if you're looking for that pregnancy glow without pregnancy, this is the bottle for you. But I mean, I've taken this for so many reasons. Obviously, the external benefits are phenomenal, but for somebody who's dealt with like a lot of medical issues, and living in LA when we're just full of toxins and, so many different things combating us, I have taken this more for the antioxidant and free radical kind of preventative and damage in the body, and then you get the benefits of that glow and all those external changes in the body.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because this isn't just a formula to help your skin glow, right? This is doing so much behind the scenes work. And for me, what that speaks to is how your skin and even your hair, your nails, all of that is really an indicator of what could be going on inside of your body. So if your skin used to have, maybe more coloration and that started to leave, that could be an indicator of something that's not functioning well within your body. So I love that you bring that up. And you talked about toxins, free radicals. So I think we should maybe talk about what a free radical is. Do you want to explain that, Nikki? I'm happy to, if not.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Yeah. So there are different things in our environment, whether it's exposure to pollution or processed foods or just breathing, is exposing us to free radicals. And our body's equipped to handle free radicals for the most part on their own. But we live in a world right now where we are exposed to so many toxins, right? If you live in LA, no matter where you live, really, there are toxins all over in the environment. So that what can happen is when we breathe in those toxins, or we consume them through our food, or we get them through maybe products that we're using, different things, the neurons in our body can become unstable through that free radical process. So antioxidants, that's where antioxidants come in. They come in to neutralize those free radicals that have gotten away from what our body can manage on their own. Free radicals can lead to a lot of really negative health consequences, so it's important to kind of stay ahead of it and keep up on it. Like I said, that can be shown through discoloration in your skin, poor energy, brain fog, all sorts of things like that.
Well, and nowadays too, I mean, like you said, it's the environment, but it's the plastics that we're touching, everything that we're consumed by or surrounded by. I mean, eating food and converting that into energy produces free radicals.
Exactly.
And that's even if you're eating like biodynamic organic food. But if we're eating processed food, fried food, everything like that, you're getting those additional hit of free radicals. And so everything that we have to do, we have to be so conscious to make sure that we are counteracting that. And unfortunately, our soil's depleted. Even if we're using and choosing high quality food, we're not getting that abundance of antioxidants that we once did. And especially on top of it, and this could be for another episode, it's like all the sanitizers and all the cleansing and prevention and like avoiding natural bacteria, not getting into the dirt anymore, and just sanitizing with every opportunity. It's stripping all of this natural bacteria away from us. And so, yeah, the world and our culture has changed quite a bit. And so we really need to make sure that we go above to consume more antioxidants because we're not getting them from our diet and lifestyle.
Exactly. And antioxidants can be found through our food. Blueberries, pomegranates, acai berry are all really common forms of antioxidants. But likely, I know for me, I do not consume enough of them through my diet, so supplementing them has been incredibly beneficial. So something to keep in mind on that front. But when we're talking about skin specifically, antioxidants do a lot to protect against sun damage, another way to get free radicals. So the antioxidants do a lot to fight against sun damage. They can improve the hydration levels in your skin. They can soften the skin. So if you're somebody with dry skin, antioxidants are a really good idea to start implementing because it could help with that hydration. So a couple of things to consider.
Well, and when we think of skincare and, okay, this topical thing, and I was actually buying some stuff this morning for topical skincare, do you naturally think of internal skincare? What are we consuming besides food that, if we're spending all our money at Sephora or Target or all these places to get really good quality external skincare, besides what we're consuming, what about the supplements that we're taking? Are we, supporting that? And so looking at this as your internal SPF and your internal glow and all these different things are going to be such an important resource to capitalize on if you truly want that glowing skin, especially in the winter months or, whatever climate you're in or, area in the country, that can make a big difference in your skin.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's not to say that ageless skincare replaces sunscreen. Please use sunscreen every day, no matter the time of year. But yes, it's so vital because all of our entire body, not just our skin, needs antioxidants. So supplementing that can be so important.
Any other ingredients in here that stand out to you? I know the alpha lipoic acid is a phenomenal one because it is 10 times stronger than regular alpha lipoic acid. So it's really going to be helpful at absorbing the water, keeping our skin plump. And that's really what's going to help us have that youthful glow when we have dull skin and it's very just dark and flat. It's usually, our skin is dehydrated. And so that alpha lipoic acid is going to be really helpful to kind of give us that natural plump and
yes,
glow.
Exactly. Plump and glow is exactly right for that ingredient. Another one I want to call out is one that I think people typically use topically, but can absolutely be consumed in the right context, and that's going to be hyaluronic acid. I see hyaluronic acid all over social media being used topically, and it's amazing for topical use, especially if you're somebody who wears makeup and wears foundation. Hyaluronic acid is incredibly recommended topically, but it can also be taken as a capsule, taken in supplement form to help with skin moisture and a word that some people don't like, but suppleness of the skin, and just really...
That's a word that people don't like?
Some people don't like it.
I know moist is one that is so triggering. I was trying to pull off my ASMR.
Yeah, I was going to say we have a little ASMR moment right there.
But hasn't that one died down a little bit? I mean, how else would you describe a good quality cake that's not dry?
I agree. I like it. I don't think it's a bad word, but some people don't like those kinds of words, so I apologize for using it. But what's...
We need to put a trigger warning in
the description.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, but hyaluronic acid is amazing and can be consumed is definitely the takeaway from that. So yeah.
Any lasting things on this one before we dive into the next formula?
I don't think I have any other things I want to say about this one. So let's move into the final formula of my Glow Trio. And that is going to be Purity for liver support. So if you work in a health food store, you probably know about Purity. This is such a loved formula in our retail space, but it doesn't get enough recognition in our online platforms and when we're talking to consumers directly, in my opinion. So I really love talking about this formula because I think that everybody can benefit from this one as well. Right now, in the same way that we are all exposed to so many toxins, our liver works really hard and our liver works really well. Our livers work really, really well. But in today's day and age, sugar is destroying our livers. Everybody who eats sugar should probably be taking some sort of liver support supplement. And I'll get up here on my soapbox and talk about this for hours and hours on end because I just think it's so important. But it's just important to keep in mind that if your liver is starting to have issues, the first place that you're going to see that is in your energy levels and in your skin. So if you're starting to lose discoloration, or if you're starting to have discoloration in your skin and starting to break out in your chin or your cheek areas, that is right away a sign that your liver is needing a little bit of support. So if that sounds like you, listen up, let's talk about purity.
Absolutely. And this is one of my favorite ones. And I don't think a lot of people think to combine this with like skincare. But your liver is your largest internal organ, responsible for over 500 functions of the body. If you have a poor liver, everything else is going to suffer. And you don't have to have cirrhosis or heavy drinking or even irregular drinking in the family or in your genetics to have liver issues. So I'm sober and I have a few different genetic things that make me predisposed to liver issues. And one of those, I do like talking about it, the MTHFR gene. So it's your methylation gene. You get a set from your mom and your dad. And what this pretty much does is it takes traditionally B vitamins, so like your cyanocobalamin, and it methylates it or converts it into methylcyanocobalamin. And so then, we take our supplement, it methylates it, makes it an absorbable form so we can utilize that. The problem is 50%, 50 of the population has one or both of those genes mutated, meaning if you have one or both mutated, not only are you not absorbing that B12, it's actually staying and becoming toxic in your system. And so what happens is those individuals that have those mutations, you tend to struggle with like mental issues, so just anxious thoughts and low mood, but also liver issues. And I can speak for myself. I have the double mutation, meaning I have to be extra cautious and take a preventative approach and constantly do liver support. So my naturopathic doctor, she wants me to do, every few days do a heavy, not right now during pregnancy, but doing a heavy dose of a liver support. And then using this as a daily support at kind of its minimal dose. Obviously talk to your doctor, but that might be something to think about. If you know about your MTHFR, you could just go get blood work to determine, or just make sure you get everything in methylated form and take a liver support, because again, we're just being bombarded by toxins. And so this, you're going to notice the effect in so many areas. And also be cautious. If you're not used to taking a liver formula, and let's say you eat a standard American diet or don't really have the cleanest lifestyle, be aware that when you start this, you might notice things get worse before they get better. Now, if you see that, like, let's say your stool is really smelly, your armpits, like everything, like you're sweating more, the odors are really pungent, it's actually a good sign. It means everything's starting to come out. That's usually inside. If you're breaking out more, that means keep pushing harder, drink more water, do lymphatic support, dry brushing, consume up your fiber intake to help get that stuff and flush it out of your system. Because once you get on the other side, you're going to start to see that glow. It's just not a fun transition kind of through that like detoxing phase.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's just such a phenomenal formula.
And I'm so glad that you said that, because that's actually something that I noticed when I started taking this formula right away. I actually did notice a few breakouts, and I almost stopped taking it because of that. And I was like, oh, this is making me break out. I don't want to take it. After about a week, my breakouts cleared up, and my chin acne that I'd had previously is completely gone. So of course, that's not everybody's experience, but this really blew me away in that sense, is that I was worried about my chin acne, and it cleared up. So I've been combining this purity with my Ageless Skincare and Beauty to help with the scarring that I had from that chin acne. So that's kind of what makes these all such a great combination, is that purity can help to avoid these breakouts and help to avoid some of this discoloration, while the other two can really come in and help with past discoloration, past scarring, and also be preventative in that way too.
Absolutely. And one thing before we dive into some of the individual ingredients, I'll see if I can switch and share my screen over here. So something that's super fascinating, and I don't know why I can't make it bigger. You always said it's like what, Control Plus? Oh, boom. Okay, so this is the Chinese body clock. I'm not a master in like Ayurvedic or, Eastern medicine, but I am familiar with this, and I do find it fascinating. So what this showcases, and if you can't see the screen, it's kind of a full clock. So each hour, or there's like fragments throughout the day and night, your body and certain organ systems are at its peak of working. And so they're doing the repair and the detoxification. And so what's interesting, let's say you constantly wake up between 1 to 3 a.m. almost every night. Like it's pretty much on pattern. What this is showing, if that's the case, if you can look at the screen between 1 to 3 a.m., that's your liver doing its deepest work. That's when it's clocked in and it is working overtime. And so that's a really key indicator to show, okay, I either need to give a lot of extra love to my liver or it's just working extra hard. And so, let's say there's another time, it's 3 to 5 a.m. I remember when there was the fires in California and there was a lot of stuff going on and I was constantly waking up between 3 to 5 a.m. Well, you can see here, that's your lungs. Your lungs are taking a big hit. And so supporting your lungs with a little bit extra love is going to be supported. So I think this is just interesting, as we're talking about purity and liver support. Hey, if you are listening and you tend to wake up between 1 to 3 a.m., that could be a little like alert. Hey, you need some liver love right now.
And this chart that you're showing on screen, can you remind me what the name of this chart is?
The Chinese body
clock.
Okay,
so I imagine that comes from traditional Chinese medicine. They also use what is called skin mapping or skin zoning, which I think is another thing too. Yeah, if you want to pull that up, I think is another really useful kind of test. Of course, this is not a blanket statement for everybody, but if Nikki pulls this up, and if you're just a listener and not watching, you can Google skin zoning, skin mapping, and you'll see they have charts that kind of show if this is where your breakout is, this is probably the body system or the organ that needs some support. So if you have, like I was talking about, the chin acne is usually linked to liver, whereas cheek acne tends to be your intestines. And if you're having forehead breakouts, that's going to be your large intestine. Breakouts on the eyes and under the eyebrows are going to be adrenals. So all sorts of things that you can see. Oh, and perfect. I see that you got that pulled up.
Yeah, I think this one shows a little bit different, but I am familiar with, because I know too, down here, your chin is usually like hormonal.
Yes,
because I know like when I was having my period, I would always break out right here. So this one looks a little bit different than the one I'm familiar. But if you just, like Shelby said, is Google face mapping. Is that what you called it?
Skin mapping, face mapping. Yeah. So that's a great resource as well. But generally speaking, that your liver is going to be shown through like the chin, kind of like where a beard would lie. If that's where you're getting your acne, that's probably your liver.
Great. All right, let's dive into this formula and kind of if there's any standout ingredients. I know ones that you've already mentioned, selenium when it comes to our beauty and how that's supportive. Again, this is designed to kind of help cleanse the liver and just purify and help your body work a little bit more efficiently. Anything that stands out for you, Shelby?
Yeah, so like you said, this formula as a whole is approaching liver production, helping to even out skin tone, help with coloration, help avoiding acne. But there are ingredients in here that have multiple effects on the body. So this formula includes turmeric, which is also found in beauty. It's a really useful ingredient for a lot of reasons. There's a lot to say about turmeric, but it's really beneficial for skin, for increasing like circulation and delivery of nutrients. It's beneficial for inflammation. So if you wake up in the morning and your skin's puffier than it is the rest of the day, taking something to help with inflammation like turmeric could be really, really useful. And that's going to be found.
Or if you have skin
redness,
too.
Exactly. That's going to be found in purity or beauty. And like you said, there is selenium, which is beneficial for the thyroid as well as hair growth. So there's a lot of different approaches here.
And we have the NAC in there. And if you've been conscious during this pandemic, NAC is one of those supplements that have flown off the shelves because it is a precursor to glutathione. So one, NAC is supportive for kind of lung support and respiratory health, but it also is a precursor, meaning it's going to help create more glutathione. And if you're in glutathione, think of that as like your king antioxidant, like the most important, the big one that we want as much of as possible. So NAC is going to be really helpful. And sometimes the precursor is actually easier to absorb that kind of final ingredient more so than taking, the final ingredient on its own. I don't know if that
No,
makes
that's
sense.
exactly right. If you were to just take glutathione as a supplement, your body wouldn't really absorb it much. So it is best to take a precursor like N-acetylcysteine.
Great. Any lasting remarks, kind of before we move
I
on?
will just say the last thing I want to say about purity is give this formula a try and give it some time to really start working. Like you said, some people notice that it gets worse before it gets better. That shouldn't last long. So if you can just kind of power through the couple of days or even the week that it might take to kind of get through that worse before the what is it? I guess it's not the calm before the storm. It would be the storm before the calm, right? The opposite of what I was thinking. But if you can just give it a little bit of time, this formula is so powerful. It also is one that you don't have to take all of the time. So take it for a month, give yourself a break, and try it again. It's safe to take long term. There's no reason not to. But if you do want to give yourself breaks from it, that would be encouraged as well. That's personally what I do. I usually do it for about 2 months, and then I'll take a month off and then do it for 2 months and kind of give myself breaks here and there. So that's a suggestion as well.
Great.
Awesome.
Perfect. Well, I think we can transition to kind of 2 bonus formulas that I find, it's not your traditional go-to when you think skincare and hair health. And any ideas?
Yes. Well, I think in order to talk about these, we need to think about what else is happening when we're talking about skin. So what other factors could be contributing to your skin, your quality of skin, right? Your skin health. So before we talk about those products, I think the important things to mention are you drinking enough water? I was doing some research on this, and it's actually interesting because there's not a ton of research that shows drinking excess water is going to do anything beneficial for your skin. However, not drinking enough water will have very big impacts negatively on your skin, your hair, your health in general, right? So making sure that you're getting enough water is really, really important to making sure your skin's hydrated, that your skin's not cracking or really dry or flaky.
Well, and before you go to the next tip, and so right now kind of we're diving into some lifestyle recommendations, but kind of pressing into this water component, I just was talking to Dale Bredesen, and if you're not familiar, he is one of like a world-renowned neurologist, and he wrote the book The End of Alzheimer's and has this whole protocol. He's incredible and just a wealth of information. But one thing he reminded us is that if you are using filtered water, Brita, Pure, all these different things, it's also not just purifying and removing, the extra bacteria and dirt and all these things that we don't want to consume. It's also removing a lot of these minerals that we need. And like Shelby touched, zinc, selenium, these are important, but also magnesium. Yes. And so, drinking good quality water, but ensuring if you are drinking filtered water, make sure you're adding those minerals back too. I just wanted to kind of
and that is such an important thing to remember because those trace minerals are so vital, and most people do get those through their water. So if you are filtering it out, it's really important to make sure that you're getting that back some way, whether that's through supplementation, ensuring it's in your food, whatever that might be. Those are really, really vital. Additionally, some of those nutrients can be found in our food. So foods that can be really beneficial for the skin are like sweet potatoes or carrots, tomatoes, avocado, apples, if you leave the skin on. Those are all foods that can be really, really beneficial to finding those minerals that are essential. So definitely make sure that you're getting as many nutrients as you can from your food. That's the easiest, the cheapest, the most efficient way to get those vital nutrients.
Great. And I think one of my favorite...
I was just going to also say, in addition to that, protein. So you don't have to eat meat to get enough protein, of course. So if you are a vegan or vegetarian and you aren't getting red meat, make sure you're getting enough protein in order for your skin to stay hydrated. As I was saying with the water, sometimes people think that drinking enough water is going to hydrate their skin. There's not really evidence to show that, but there is evidence that shows that protein can help to hydrate the skin. So when we're talking about collagen, wherever you find your protein, whether that's from beans, legumes, whatever, make sure that you're getting enough protein so that your skin is hydrated.
Fantastic. Yeah. I like that. One of my favorite recommendations that truly is my favorite to implement is sweating. So whether that's done through exercise or, stimulation from like a sauna. So that is one of the things I miss the most from pregnancy, that I'm like, hey, after baby's out, I'm jumping back into the sauna. So I have an infrared sauna that I've invested in, and it is incredible for so many different reasons. But that purification, that detox, cleansing the liver so that everything can work properly. And so whether you want to do the sauna or exercise, and yes, obviously those are going to have other benefits, the exercise for mood and for just general health, but sweating is going to be so valuable. And again, I know there's a lot of controversy, but I use natural deodorant. And again, it's kind of like things get worse before they get better. It takes a while to transition. But one thing that was really important for me is to not have an antiperspirant. So antiperspirant blocks you from sweating. And that's why there's, well, we won't get into it, but there's a lot of studies with, deodorants and antiperspirants creating other harm. And you really want your body to sweat. And the thing is it'll find its balance and its equilibrium. Like, I'm not granted it's freezing right now, but your body finds that balance. And so giving it opportunities to sweat. I know, like, for instance, my husband puts on deodorant at night before bed, and I'm like, let your skin breathe. Like, if you sweat in bed, like, fine, I'll wash the sheets, which kind of leads us to another thing. But really allowing your body to sweat is going to be really important to help support
yes. Yes, 1000%. Like you said, it's important for your liver to sweat. It's part of that the body's part of process of detoxification. So true. And that does lead us to the other thing I want to talk about, which is changing our bedding frequently, changing our pillowcases, washing your face with like a gentle cleanser. It doesn't have to be a whole routine. It doesn't have to be a big deal, but doing something to help get the bacteria off of your face is really going to set you up for success. And I also mentioned this earlier, but I think it can be mentioned 100 times more, and that is sunscreen. Sunscreen is your skin's best friend. If you don't use sunscreen on the daily, you really, really should. It is so important. Even in the winter, sun is actually closer to us in the winter, so it's important that you are protecting from those harmful UV rays. So there's a lot that goes into lifestyle. We can always talk about food. We can always talk about sleep. But don't forget that sleep is the rejuvenation, it is our body's rejuvenation process. So getting adequate sleep is so vital. I know when I don't get enough sleep, I can see it in my skin. I have bags under my eyes. I don't have the same coloration in my skin. I know I see that so clearly, and I'm sure other people do too.
So heads up, in a few months when you see me with like bags on bags and dull skin,
we know why.
You know why. I'm having some sleepless nights. No, but it'll all be good. And yeah, absolutely. Changing the bedding, and it's, probably my least favorite chore, but it is so important to do, especially as we're, when summer starts hitting and it's much hotter and you're probably sweating a lot, and just, all the dead skin is coming off. It's so important to make, to really process and change.
Yes. So make sure you're checking that out. And then the other thing that I want to mention is something else that I've really noticed, at least for me personally. When I'm stressed out, I break out so much worse. So I know that this kind of leads us into what you wanted to talk about, Nikki, which is our little bonus items, 2 of our favorite products.
Yes. So stress management, you absolutely nailed it. That is key. So again, stress and your hormones are linked. Hormones are everything. Hormonal balance, I mean, you probably hear this terminology being thrown around, or, Air One probably has smoothies that it's like the hormone helper or something like that. Like, hormones are everything. And if you are consuming, again, the most bioidentical, organic, natural microgreens, raw vegan food, and you're putting on the highest quality skincare, but you are living a stressed life, and you are feeling this adrenal impact and tired and wired and exhausted and burnt out, no matter what you're doing externally or even internally, that you're still going to be breaking out. You're still going to notice some of these negative effects. And if you don't, like, that's fantastic, but it's very likely that stuff will start to show. So 2 of the formulas that I think are something to add on that everybody should be taking. We have 2 stress formulas, and I'll explain the difference between them. So adrenals, that is kind of, I would like to say this is your daily stress support. So if you have stress on a regular basis, if you are go, 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 do, you're working 2 jobs, maybe you even went through some trauma recently. Maybe you're going through a divorce. Maybe you lost a parent. Maybe you work night shift. Maybe you didn't sleep well at night. So then you wake up and, throw down some caffeine. All these different things. I like to explain it as like this sponge. Imagine in order for this sponge to work properly, it needs to be hydrated and, and moistened. And so that it can work properly and do its job. But when we're not sleeping enough, you squeeze the sponge. When we're not, giving it adequate food and rest and silence and solitude and quality food, you're squeezing the sponge. When we're trying to lose weight, we undereat and we overtrain. And so then you end up with this rock solid sponge that's supposed to clean the stuff and do its job. Not a chance is that happening. And so when you are living a lifestyle that is that go, 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 do, whether, you have control over it or not, taking an adrenal formula is everything. So this real quick, B vitamins and adaptogenic herbs. That is going to be supportive for your endocrine system to balance out hormones, to calm the body, even if you're not currently going through stressors. So I'm about to have a baby. My husband's about to graduate master's. We're about to move, like so much is going to happen. And even though it's all good stuff, it's still good stressors and our body still absorbs it the same way. If you know something's coming up, be preventative and do an adrenal support ahead of time to prime your body with these adaptogenic supportive ingredients to make sure that it can aid during that roller coaster of a ride of life. And then lastly, we have our anxiety formula, which I don't know why it's not popping up in here. But before I jump to anxiety, anything to add for adrenal?
Well, I love everything that you said. I think that you hit the nail right on the head. But I will also add that if you are turning to caffeine or sugar or something at that, adrenal tea is really beneficial for that 3 p.m. crash. And if you're finding that you need caffeine to get past 3 o'clock or sugar or whatever it might be for that crash, that's also having negative impacts on your health, on your skin. And so if you're looking to get rid of that, if you're looking to move past caffeine, move past sugar to help you get past the crash, adrenal tea is also beneficial in that way. Can help you wean off of caffeine.
Fantastic. Thank you for adding that, Shelby. So anxiety, it was our number 1 seller for first 7 years. It's still like in our top 3 or something like that. It is incredible. If you struggle with anxiety and you have never tried this, you have to get this in your hands. But I like to think of adrenals as my everyday stress support. So I'm going to take this so long term, I don't get the hit of anxiety quite as easily. Anxiety, this bottle is helpful. I keep it in my purse, in my car, anywhere I need for that immediate support. So it's kind of that Band-Aid that's going to help in the moment. And so just kind of, if you're about to walk into, a business presentation or something that is just anxiety provoking, have a few of these. It's going to calm that down because again, long term, those elevated hormones and the cortisol is going to eventually start showing through your skin and through external systems. And so anything that we can do to reduce that stress and calmness, and probably me speaking so passionately is not helping with your stress and calmness. But yeah, anything that we can do is going to be supportive and showcase externally.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this formula. I took it, we've been recording for 48 minutes. So I took this about 50 minutes ago and I feel it. I feel nice and relaxed. My body feels so great. Anxiety is my favorite Life Seasons formula for sure. I said earlier, I recommend beauty to everyone, but anxiety is my favorite. I love that formula.
I love that you said that. And adrenals, my favorite. So clearly we have
but we have another podcast talking about that, so you can go check out that episode and learn more.
Exactly. Well, I know we've packed this episode with a ton of information, and so I just want to round it out and kind of help clarify, if you're struggling with this, what should you do? And again, there's those incredible lifestyle recommendations that Shelby provided that I added to, stress management, tons of water, quality skincare, sweating, healthy diet, changing your sheets, sleep. But let me keep it simple. If you're struggling with breakouts, skin irritation, redness, discoloration, we would recommend going through Purity. or trying purity and just supporting your liver with that extra benefit. Now, if you're struggling with dull skin, flat skin, maybe lack of glow and vibrancy, that's where ageless skincare is going to come in handy. Perfect. You're my
I
Vanna
was just
White
thinking
of
that.
today. And then if you are struggling with brittle nails, thinning hair, beauty is going to be a really good option. And then again, the add-on for all of these adrenals and anxiety is going to be always helpful.
Yes, so well said. These are amazing formulas. I love the breakdown that you provided, but don't forget you can take these formulas together. So if you check multiple boxes, you can take any of these products together and find benefits. I recommend giving all of them at least 30 days to really get in your system and start working. These 3 products are not things that you're typically going to notice overnight. They do take time. So please keep that in mind if you try them out. But Like Seasons does have a 90-day guarantee because we know these products work. We believe in them. We love them. So please give them a try. Let us know what you think. And if you have any questions, like I said, I could talk about any of these products for hours and hours. So if you have any questions about them, let us know. I'll come back and chat again.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, thank you
thank
so much for
you.
joining us, Shelby. I know we all missed having you on here. And so it's been such a pleasure, just your input and your knowledge. And yeah, we just
Thanks so
really
much for
enjoyed
having
it.
me. It was so much fun.
Absolutely. All right. We'll
See you
talk
later.
with you soon.